Hey everybody, nice to be here with you again. This is the channel T Teaches Everything within the video playlist. T Teaches Teaching. We're doing episode 4. We're rolling along. It's a 7 episode season. Today's topic is classroom management. Ooh, this is a big one. So you might have landed on this video because this is a topic you're like, man, I'm really struggling with this one. You need a refresher. Maybe someone's assigned it to you. Rest assured today I'm going to give you some tips on classroom management. But of course, this is part of the art of teaching, and you have to figure out what works best for you, for your department, for your school, and with your students. All right. So classroom management is going to reflect you. It's going to reflect your goals of the day and of your class and of your school culture. And a lot of information out there about all that. So you have to find your style. Okay. Make sure that you put some comments in the comment area below, letting us know what really works for you or what may not have worked for you. Some things that make you successful or unsuccessful. All right. So remember, the goal here is to make learning happen, to get kids in the position of learning, to minimize distractions, and to have a classroom environment where your goal, you're in charge, happens. All right. So let me first of all describe my classroom management style over the years, and then we'll talk about some specifics of classroom management that I've seen successfully used, that I've done, whether by the newbies out there or whether by the veterans. All right. So together we can create a community of information and collegiality where we work together to help our students be successful in terms of classroom management. Because what you do in your room affects the entire climate of school. And what somebody else does over there does for you affects your room as well in some ways. All right. So we all have to be, as teachers, moving in the right direction and having classrooms that are managed and managed well. All right. So if you walk into my classroom, you will always see. And by the way, you're welcome. Just come on by. Let me know you're coming. Okay. Seriously. If you come to my room, you're going to see a guy, okay, who is in charge, who has an agenda, who has a plan, who's clear and organized about what is happening in that class. And yeah, I'm reminding you of, if you've seen the previous videos about organization. But I want you to know that we need to show leadership as teachers. We need to learn how to command the room. I've had student teachers and colleagues, people I've seen who don't command the room, and it is not good. All right. We have to command the room. That starts with a plan. You got to know what you're doing. That starts with the organization. You got to know what you're doing. You got to communicate that to your kids. Here's where we're going. And those kids will follow you because they want leadership. They want to follow you and they want to trust in you. You guys are together for basically a half a year. All right. It's a long time you're working together. Let's build that relationship. Let's build some unity. And again, you have to command the room. All right. You are in a power struggle, let's be honest, every day with your students. All right. Some of them are outright, they want to be in charge and they're going to make that known. Other ones are quietly saying, I'm going to do my own thing over here, bro. All right. So you've got to make sure that you're in charge. And this isn't being mean. It's just, hey, we're here to learn. This is what we do in school. And, this is a life skill as well as an academic skill. Everybody has to work under a boss. Everybody has accountability to authority. Got to learn that. Part of the deal. All right? Part of the deal. So, classroom management is also about setting expectations and standards for behavior and sticking to that and enforcing those things and making sure you're consistently applying that, whether it's to the jock or to the kid who's, not a jock, whether it's to the new kid or the kid who's been around for a long time. Regardless of who that kid is, and what they do, and how they identify, or any of that, consistency. All right? We need to make sure that kids know how to move about the room, when it's okay to do stuff. And again, that reflects you, your structure, and your needs. All right? But remember that we're not trying to limit freedom by having structure. We're trying to go ahead and create an environment where students can be successful. Right? This is classroom management. I know we often think of classroom management as in, how do I make sure kids are on task? And that's something we're going to talk about, okay? But it's creating that classroom where kids know, we work in this room. Mr. T or whoever the teacher is has an agenda, and we're going to go ahead and pursue it. And It's a place where I can learn and I can talk and I can ask questions and I can grow. That's classroom management as well, kind of more from a philosophical sort of perspective. Okay. All right. Next, and remember, this is a really great job you're in teaching. And so we want to make sure that we establish that command. We want to make sure that we do some things, maybe have some bell work, or maybe have something to start class. And I'm not a big fan of bell work, honestly, because it creates more that I have to grade, and I'm not a huge fan of grading. We'll talk about that later on, another time. Okay, but bell work is something or something at the start of class at the bell that kids know, hey, this is what I'm doing while the teacher's, doing roll or a teacher is, talking to a student about what, they missed yesterday or something like that. So have some things that kids can do to start class off. That's a really good classroom management technique. All right. Another thing we want to talk about in terms of classroom management is how we manage behavior, specifically off-task behavior. If a student is off task, we want to make sure that we redirect them to get on task. And that might simply be where you sidle over to a student and use some proximity. And then they go, they put their cell phone away, or they switch tabs on their computer, or they close something down, or they get back on task. All right. That's a simple way to do some classroom management. All right. It might be that you call out a student publicly. All right. It might be that you have that student off to the side and you say, hey, well, let's talk for a second. What's going on? Why aren't you with us here? And so use every tool in your toolkit to try and enlist and engage and draw those kids into learning. Maybe it's a personal appeal. Maybe it's a group appeal, small group appeal. Maybe it's moving around the room and not being tied to the front and not being tied to your desk. It's using your positional influence to influence what happens in class and to get kids on task and to help them be engaged. All right. Maybe you need to change your room up. Maybe you need to have your boards moved or your projector moved or your desk moved or your printer moved or whatever you have. Change the style of where your desks go. All right. And, maybe that's something you do in concert with your department chair or your principal. Or maybe you do it on your own. Okay. I may or may not know of a certain teacher, not me, who may or may not have brought in a drill and some screwdrivers and after school moved some boards around. I may or may not know about that. Don't ask me, don't press me. Let's just leave it between you and I that I may or may not know. And the point is that person moved their room to take advantage of, if they did this. They did that to make sure that they had the better flow and that their room, the resources there were used more properly, more appropriately for what they're trying to do. And it made a huge difference. And I know it for sure if it, happened. Okay. All right. Make sure that when you call a student out publicly, whether you bring them out of the room or in the room, you're risking a public scene. Make sure that you are not starting there, but you are moving, escalating up that way. Because if you start there, you have no place to go. If you start at level 10, you have no place to go. But if you start at level 2, like, hey, what's going on? How can I help you be better in class? That's one thing. But if you go to, stop, boom, that's a problem. All right. Don't start at 10, start at 2, move your way up. Okay. Move your way up. All right. Machiavelli was a political philosopher a long time ago, gave advice to politicians and said, yours should be about getting power and keeping power and doing whatever it takes. Be a lion to some and a lamb to others. That's kind of good advice for teaching. All right. If you need to be a lion for one kid and a lamb for somebody else, then do it. And a lion today and a lamb tomorrow, then do it. Your classroom, your agenda, and you have to make sure that you achieve your goals that day. And don't try and get approval of the students, because one day they're going to love you, tomorrow they're not going to like you for reasons that who even knows. All right. So it's got to be about satisfying your understanding of what an effective teaching classroom looks like. All right. For me, it's my conversation. It's my personal charisma, which is outstanding, obviously. Okay. It's also having a sense of command of that classroom. And this has obviously come over time as my experience and veteran status has been solidified. Kids walk in and know Mr. T is in charge. Okay, but you still have to reestablish that all the time, or very often. All right. Remember, you're in charge. You're a winner. This is a profession you've chosen, and you got to have control of that classroom. And I can tell when a kid or when kids are in charge in the classroom. If I just walk in, I can tell what's going on. So if that's happening on a daily basis, you got to get control, or you better go ahead and find something else to do, because this is a big deal being a teacher. I'm proud of you for hanging in there, watching these videos and being a teacher. This is a great profession. Pursue it, go hard, get out there and teach well. Thanks for watching. Like our socials, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you again. Thanks a lot.